In this video, we're going over how to be a digital nomad. We're going to cover some of my favorite packing tips, travel hacks, technology tools, and day-to-day essentials for traveling full-time while running a virtual wholesale, Airbnb, ecom, and marketing business. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Jonathan here. I was able to achieve financial freedom at 27 through real estate, Airbnb, wholesaling, podcasting, and this channel deep dives into the step-by-step tactics of how you can do the same. So I used to work in a typical corporate job, wearing corporate clothing, hanging out with corporate people, and hating my corporate life. I have a lot of other videos about how I left that life and got into this new one, but that's not what this video is about. We can link below to those videos if you're interested, but today we're covering the life after that. These days I travel full-time with no real set end date and no real commitment tied to anything in a location. What this is doing is taking advantage of a strategy some call location arbitrage, and one of my favorite expressions from 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss, where he describes make dollars, spend pesos, and compensate rupees. A little cheesy, but I think it's amazing. It's been fun, but there have been a lot of mistakes and lots of learnings with the traveling lifestyle around running a business and creating content while living outside of the US and moving around all the time. So in this video, we're gonna break down 3 of the main categories that I wish I would have known more about when starting the nomad lifestyle. The first is clothing and luggage when moving around. The second is technology, and the third is housing. I've done a lot of research on each of these, and as mentioned, made a lot of mistakes in this process, so hopefully you can avoid some of the same ones and build off them from what I've been working on. And yes, every product mentioned in this video is an affiliate link and will be linked in the show summary. So let's get to it. Part 1, clothing and luggage when moving around. This was something I struggled with for a while, mainly because when I was traveling, I was looking for clothing that could serve 3 to 4 purposes. Good for working, good for working out, good for playing golf, and functional for going out. And also light enough to fit in a suitcase that could be rolled onto a plane, because like many of you, I'm not a fan of checking bags if I don't have to. And no offense to any of the other digital nomaders out there I saw making videos on YouTube, since I have virtually no fashion sense, but their clothing seemed to be almost too efficient or too backpack hiker oriented instead of something that looked good and normal day to day that could be worn in multiple settings. So I started looking and didn't find a lot of great options at first. But after buying and returning a lot of clothing and talking to people, I found a few options that have worked great so far. Here's what they are. For shirts, I went with Cuts and Lululemon for everyday, and then Nike Henleys for golf. In a pinch, they could all be kind of interchanged or swapped out. You can play golf, Zoom calls, or do business in pretty much any of these. And they're also really light, and I think they look good. As long as I can do laundry once a week, I just make sure I pack 7 shirts, and I can get by in almost any situation. And what's even better is that in places like Colombia, it's really easy and cheap to just have pick up, wash, and fold laundry done for you for about $8. The shorts I typically wear are Lululemon, Nike, and Adidas. Sort of following a trend here. If it works, I'm gonna stick with it. For the same reasons though, I went with these. They're versatile, light, and I think they look good. And again, I still don't think I'm in any position to give fashion advice, but I think I could look a lot worse. For shoes, I bring 1 pair of sneakers and 1 pair of white leather shoes for going out. I bring 2 pairs of jeans and 1 pair of sweatpants. The other thing I forgot to mention last year was that I decided I wanted to remove cold weather from my life. I just didn't like it, and it makes me less creative. Random thing, but if you haven't seen it yet, there's a Frank Kern perfect day video that will link below, but it completely changed my life and helped me realize what an ideal lifestyle looked like for me. So when I decided that, I pretty much donated, sold, or put all my winter clothes in storage. Jackets, boots, and basically anything long sleeve. And if you think about it, not having to account for different types of weather also makes traveling way easier. If it's always gonna be 60 to 80 degrees, you can plan accordingly. 20 to 80 degrees, not so much. As for luggage, I looked for a while and I wasn't liking anything I was finding until I found these 2 things: a nomadic backpack and a Soul Guard suitcase. The nomadic backpack was originally a Kickstarter item with the goal of just creating smarter backpacks. And this backpack has exceeded my expectations in pretty much every way. It's light, expandable, has tons of pockets, really smart design, and I think it looks pretty good. The bag I got is called a Travel Pack Backpack, and it costs $2.99 before any sales. But Nomadic does run a lot of sales, and you can usually find at least a 10% off code somewhere. And the Soul Guard suitcase may have been a crowdfunding website also, but this has just been an amazing bag. Like, I actually love this bag, and it's changed the way that I travel. What makes it cool is that it comes with a built-in shelf design, so you can pack it, unpack it easily, and also just hang it as a closet wherever you go. I did not like living off the floor, which I was doing for a few months when I was rolling around a normal suitcase, but this completely changed that. And like I said, both of these items are also small enough that they don't have to be checked when you're flying. This is domestic or international. And I'm really picky with this stuff, but I really think these type of bags are almost perfect or as close as you can be to perfect for someone that travels a lot. Real quick guys, if you get any value from any of my videos or you're interested in any of these topics, please consider giving a like and a subscription and turning that bell on. That way you get notified when a new video is out and can be one of the first people who usually get a giveaway from my videos. Part 2, technology. Two of my closest friends, Max Bidna and Chris Montez, were actually part of the reason that I was able to fix this because they really challenged me to find the right stuff. They helped me get over my final excuse for not going full nomad. They were the ones that pushed me to find the right gear and take action. Some of you guys know I do a podcast and also make these type of videos. And I just felt like the podcast would suffer and making YouTube videos would be kind of impossible because of different noises and weird lighting environments on the move compared to an at-home studio I built. If you take one thing from this video, outside of any of the stuff I recommend, it's that we all make up justifications to stay comfortable. We all feel it. It's just that some people can push past it and some people can't. How much you push through these things will determine your success and happiness and life experience. So for me, this started a quest to find a setup that would be quality, easy to travel with, and not too expensive. Maybe in another video I'll deep dive into this, but for the sake of time, I'll just outline the final choices and why. The first is a Mac M1 laptop. I was using a Lenovo before, mainly because of my job, but all I have to say is just Apple is better. Easier, faster, better support, and an amazing ecosystem if you have an iPhone. All right, and that's a good segue into the phone, iPhone 12. I had iPhones before and was just used to it. It's similar reasoning to the Mac, it just works well, and also has an amazing camera for content creation. Next is the iPad Pro. I use it mainly as a wireless second screen for my laptop, but also read at night and other random use cases, but I do use it every day. Next, AirPod Pros. This could be the best thing Apple has made in the last 5 years in my opinion. They just work, and when you're on the move and have lots of calls and meetings, it just saves time. The camera that I'm using right now and actually filming this video with is Canon EOS M50. Sort of a love-hate relationship, but from what I've researched, it is the best option for this sort of stuff. There's definitely a learning curve that I'm still on, but it's kind of unanimously known as the best starter camera for YouTubers and content creators. Tripod, just a necessity, but I needed one that could expand or fold up, especially for travel. The teleprompter, you guys may not even know, but I read off a teleprompter most of my YouTube videos. I may make an entire video about this and how it changed content creation for me, but without it, I could not create YouTube videos, and with this, it feels really easy. Next, the podcast mic, the Samsung USB mic. It's simple, good quality, affordable, not much more to say on that. Next, a USB webcam, similar price to the Samsung, also simple, good quality, and affordable. Lighting, I actually have not figured out a good lighting solution yet, so my answer here isn't great. I'll either use natural lighting, light from my iPad, or depending where I am, I'll just buy a ring light and kind of use it as a disposable and just give it to someone when I leave. Right now in Colombia, I did get a ring light, that's what I'm using here, and it helps, but it could still be way better. But anyway, that's pretty much it for the setup. For cables, most South American countries have American cabling for plugging in devices. If you're going to Europe or Asia or somewhere else, you might just need a list, but it shouldn't be a big deal. We'll link one of our favorites below so you can figure out what ports you need and wires you need to bring. And for the record, I'm not claiming to have the best YouTube or podcast quality by any means. I'm certain that in a few years, I'm gonna look back at these, I'm gonna laugh at the quality, but that's okay. It's good enough for now and it's gonna continue to get better. It's like one of my favorite expressions. You can't improve something that doesn't exist. So done is better than perfect, and if you're looking for a setup to model, this could definitely work. One other really important thing to remember with clothing and technology, unless you're missing a phone, a laptop, or an iPad when you get somewhere, there's probably a good chance you can replace whatever item you lose or forget to bring for less than 200 bucks. It's not great, but if this is your worst case and the equipment you use makes money, it's not the end of the world. And as Tim Ferriss talks about in the 4-Hour Workweek, if you need to find something at a store in a random country, enjoy it and just use it as an excuse for an adventure. Part 3, lastly, housing. This is actually a lot easier than I expected. While I do plan to have a base apartment somewhere in the coming year, either Austin or West Palm or Charlotte, living in furnished rentals, mainly Airbnb, has been pretty easy and less expensive than I ever thought it would be. I usually find my apartment on Airbnb or Furnish Finder or Hello Landing. These are all great sites for finding extended stay furnished housing. I usually usually have a criteria for what I'm looking for each time and a budget, and then I just do a little searching. It's pretty simple, and I've never had a problem finding clean, affordable housing within these sites. As far as picking locations, I wouldn't overthink it. I just start by going places you may have some friends and you like to do things there. For me, I just like to have one friend there I know I could do stuff or I can call if I ever get into a weird situation. And something that's pretty cool that not a lot of people think about is when you pay for your housing on either Airbnb or Furnish Finder, you're paying with a credit card. And as you pay for your living with a credit card, you accrue tons of travel points. This is how I've been able to travel the last 2 years in business class a lot of times completely for free. I was living and I needed to pay for it, so I use a credit card. And because you're not paying taxes, utilities, insurance, and most hosts have a large discount for month-long stays, to me, the higher cost on paper of renting a furnished property doesn't actually come out to be much higher of a cost than a traditional rental or a mortgage payment. And you have the savings and massive flexibility. Then the last benefit will depend on how hard you want to jump in, but you may find a big savings in this if you can avoid paying double rent. What I found is that people would travel a lot more if they didn't have mortgage payment or rent payments on an empty apartment while they were traveling, which is essentially paying double rent. When you live in a month-to-month furnished rental, you're never paying double rent because in theory, you're just living in that location as your home. There's no set apartment to go back to. And I know this part's a little weird, but after doing this for a few months as an experiment, I realized that most places were actually better than what my own apartment was. They were better decorated, they had better design, they had gyms, they had pools. So I felt much more comfortable about scrapping a home address. And when I realized this, I was able to let go of my tie to that concept. And what I ended up doing was just moving all my old furniture into Airbnb's or selling or donating it. All right, so the conclusion. It may seem a little scary or uncomfortable picking up and traveling. It took me a while to pull the trigger, and I definitely felt a lot of stress before doing it. I mentioned one of them, but there are 2 books that really helped me and I highly recommend. 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss and Vagabonding by Rolf Potts. I read these books multiple times as I was getting ready to start the journey, and they gave me tons of tips and tactics. What also may help is telling yourself that you can always just abandon the travel at any time and head home. There's nothing locking you into one of these locations that can't be undone for a little money, and in a lot of cases, no money lost at all. So that's pretty much it, guys. If you have any questions on travel or being a nomad, just drop them below. And as always, if you get any value out of these, please consider giving a like and a subscribe. It really helps show which videos you guys want to see more of, and I really appreciate it. So until then, see you guys in the next one.